Are you ready to build a firm that gives you freedom, confidence, and consistent revenue without burnout or undercharging? Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast, the show for accounting, tax, bookkeeping, and fractional CFO firm owners. If you've ever felt stuck discounting your fees, chasing clients, or giving away too much advice for free, you're in the right place. Here at the Abundant Accountant Podcast, we talk about how to have sales mastery, how to charge premium pricing, how to have boundaries that stick so you're in full control with your clients, and how to convert high-value leads into high-paying clients with confidence and ease. Each episode, you're going to hear real success stories, you'll learn sales strategies, and you're going to hear from guest experts who will help you learn how to work a lot less, earn more, and finally create the firm and life that you deserve.
All right, Michelle. In San Diego, you guys have much better weather than we do in Boston today. I'll tell you that.
It's a beautiful day here.
Yeah. When is it not a beautiful day in San Diego?
Well, I mean, it's overcast in the mornings right now because it's June gloom, but around 11 a.m., 12 o'clock, it burns off and it's bright and sunny and really hot. So I actually prefer the little gloomy mornings.
Yeah, it's a change of pace.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So we have a bunch of people in. We'll get started. I know we have a lot of really, really good conversation to happen. So thank you everyone for joining. Today, we are going to be talking about beyond the numbers, moving into and really transforming the accounting industry and the accounting practice into high value powerhouse services. And so today I'm super excited. Michelle is going to be joining me. Michelle, I'll throw it over to you, give you the floor to introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce myself and we'll jump right in.
Okay, awesome. So I'm Michelle, the founder of The Abundant Accountant. And I also host a podcast called The Abundant Accountant Podcast. And really, my mission is to help firm owners really escape the daily grind who don't have a system or a real plan for a sales process in their firm. So they can actually have time, freedom, money freedom, and make the shift into true entrepreneurship. So I believe that firm owners should not feel burnt out, and you should be able to get to your revenue goal no matter what that may be. So here at The Abundant Accountant, I show you how to identify the packages for your services, how to price your services, how to raise your prices without having all of your clients leave you. And so you can work with high margin clients and improve profitability at the same time. And so that's what we do here at The Abundant Accountant.
Love it. Phenomenal. Well, I'm excited about this, Michelle. And for everyone that doesn't know me, I'm Fady. I'm the founder and CEO of Clockwork AI. Former CFO. I call myself a recovering CFO. I started my career off at FP&A and strategy at Boeing. After Boeing, I went into oil and gas consulting. After that, I ran an outsourced CFO firm that was formed literally out of demand because there was very, very little, quality happening for the companies that needed it to happen. And so that's where my outsourced CFO was started. And then Clockwork was born simply because I could not find a quality FP&A app to do my outsourced CFO work. So just keep getting pulled into different areas. So that's where Clockwork came from. I'm super excited about this. So today, what we're discussing, it really, and for everyone in the audience, and it's very informal. Any questions you guys have, literally just throw them in the chat. If you guys all want to share where you're calling in from or anything like that, just to kind of get the ball rolling, please do feel free to share that. I'm in Boston. Michelle is in San Diego. Usually I don't start with weather talk, but whenever anyone has anything to do with San Diego, I'm always like, it has to be like San Diego is the one city in all of the US that has the most perfect weather. But today we're going to be talking about how top firms break out of compliance and transactional and low value kind of things and become true strategic partners for their clients. Simple pricing and packaging literally can change revenue by 40%, 50% without adding more hours, adding more time, adding more people. We've seen a lot of different use cases. We've seen a lot of different success stories, and Michelle and I are absolutely going to share a lot of that. Today really is conversational. We're going to be sharing, this isn't a, we're going to talk at you. This is a, we are sharing best practices. We are sharing why people have been doing well, why people have suffered, where they suffer. And, we're all kind of doing the exact same thing, just from different angles. And so really that's kind of the beauty of it. So any questions you guys have, throw them in the chat, and we'll get started. So Michelle, first question is actually for you. And,
Okay.
it's always funny. My dad always said a smart person learns from their own mistakes. A genius learns from other people's mistakes.
Yes, that's very true.
So talk to me. What are the most common mistakes that you see accounting firms make when they're trying to move into and monetize advisory services?
Well, I would say the biggest mistake out of the thousands of people I've worked with is that you give away free advice. So you're helping clients without getting paid. You undercharge for your services, which means that you're charging lower, maybe to get them on board with you, to engage your firm. You're like, oh, I'll raise them later. Or you're discounting your services. You're like, oh, well, I'll discount this, when really you're trying to sell a premium service. It's almost like, Fady, you're going and saying, hey, I want to fly private jet planes, but I want to pay Spirit airline prices. I think that's probably the biggest mistake I see firm owners have, because those are the ones that we fix at first. So if you are having a sales call and then you realize that you gave away free advice, or you realize that you undercharged, or you realized you gave a discount, and you feel like you're always caving in on price, you're not alone. I would say that's the majority of the industry. And I think as firm owners, you have incredible technical knowledge and technical skills, and there's probably other CFOs here, and but the problem is you have zero structure around your sales process. You don't have any boundaries. You have a process to get the work done for your clients, but then you have nothing that tells you what to do from the time you meet the client to what to say to the client, how to follow up with the client. And that's all the sales process. And what I've found, Fady, is that it's cost most firm owners thousands of dollars on a monthly basis, on an annual basis. So as an industry and as a firm owner, if you want to still be owning your firm, we have to shift from giving away our time and actually commanding our value. And we can do that without being salesy, without being pushy, without being aggressive. It's just that we need to know, as firm owners, what's our sales process and what are those words we need to say, so we don't freeze up and undercharge, give away our free knowledge and our free advice, and then wonder how come we have so much work but so little money in our bank account.
Yeah.
We feel like we're working for free. And so that's what I'm really here to put a stop to, because I was talking to one of my colleagues and she goes, this is like the overworking and under-earning epidemic. And I was like, yeah, it's like a disease that we have to fix and eradicate. And we can do that one firm owner at a time, because once all of us stop undercharging, and us, I'm saying if I were a firm owner, but I'm not. And once we stop giving away free advice, this is our inventory. Our businesses and our firms, we don't have shelves of goods. We don't have shelves of food. We don't have physical inventory. We actually have inventory that's in our head. But why do we continue to give it away for free? So for sure. I hope that answers your first question on the biggest mistake that I've seen.
Yeah, those are all very, very good points. I think, other than all of that, which, literally in addition to all that, I would say, is so many firms love to do the 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach on advisory. And they're like, oh, we're doing it. It's like, you're doing it for one client, maybe two. And then you're saying that you do advisory, but then you don't actually do advisory. And then they're not paying for advisory.
Correct.
And, that's legitimately probably the most common mistake that I've come across and continue. And it's the perception of doing more, but then they don't have the perception that they can do more and offer more because
Yeah.
you have the imposter syndrome, especially when it comes to advisory services of like, why would someone pay me all that money to give them? And I'm just the accountant or I'm just the
Right.
numbers person.
Right.
So there's a lot of that plays into a fact, but that like it's always funny when you talk to a firm because if you look at a firm from the outside in, you're like, wow, they're crushing it. They have tons of clients. They have advisory services. They do outsource CFO. Then you talk to them and they're like, we have three clients. And I'm like, what? Like, why? And, they always do the 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And so
Yep.
advisory service is something you have to commit or, don't
Yeah,
commit.
you got to go all in. It's
Yeah.
2 feet in or no feet in, right?
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
just continue to do compliance work or, it's just, it has to change. But maybe, Fady, you can share like, how does the firm owner figure out who is an ideal candidate for advisory? So what if
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, I've been, doing what Michelle's just said. I've been undercharging. I've been giving away shit for free.
Yeah.
I give discounts. I want to put an end to that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, how do I transition to sell more of those high value services? How does a firm owner start identifying like who would be a good fit for that?
I think every single firm owner knows who the clients are. I mean, there's super hard, line in the sand kind of things where I look at from revenue perspective, like if they make over 1 million in revenue, or if they're growing 20%, year over year, month over month, there's certain like quantitative things that you can tie, but also, no one knows your clients better than you do. Who's asking you those questions? Why are they asking you those questions? Are they reaching out to anyone else? I think one of the biggest things is like, if they're not coming to you for that stuff, but their business is still going through it, they're probably going to someone else for that. Why are you not entering yourself into those conversations and being like, hey, who are you going to for cash flow forecasting? Are you actually planning out scenarios? Are you doing all the different things for your business? You're opening up a new building or you're buying a new thing or you're hiring more people. Like, how are you making those decisions? Simply asking, like, how are they doing that? What are they doing? And then inserting yourself on those. That's kind of a low barrier to even see if there's a conversation to be had. Then on the other side, clients that are always reaching out to you. You give them an inch, they take a mile. They want to have a quick chat, and then that quick chat turns into an hour long free consultation about all the stuff that they're working. And so right? A lot of the clients, they need it. It's just at the level of what you can provide. And that's when the scaling and the tiers and the pricing, all that, leveraging technology obviously makes that easier to be able to have that reach across the board. But I think that's how I did it. And that's how I've seen a lot of the successful firms doing it.
All right. Yeah, no, I mean, those are some good next steps for someone who's just doing it for free and wondering, well, how do I figure it out? So, what if they don't have any clients that are doing 1 million?
I think there's different buckets. That just means you can't charge the true top dollar. Like when I started my firm, the most I charged was $2,500 a month. I didn't have all my clients were super small startups, so none of them were making over 1 million.
Okay.
But when I had scaled and I was properly doing outsourced CFO work,
Yeah.
they were all making over $1 million in revenue because I knew that they could afford, the 5 to 10 grand engagements every month. And
Yeah.
it made a lot more sense, but you don't need to have, the stereotypical outsourced CFO $10,000 a month engagement. You can start small and just start with charging $1,500 a month. If a company's making 500,000, they could probably afford to pay you $1,500 to $2,500 a month. And
That seems too low, but that's for a different conversation.
yeah, there's levels to it. And so it basically the net is every client needs it. There is not one client in the
Correct.
world that does not need advisory services. How you package it, how you price it does depend on their revenue, their growth, their targets, their goals, all that kind of stuff. And that usually drives where you can kind of build your firm. And if you're a low volume, high value firm, your fees have to be higher. If you're a high volume, low value, that's not bad. You just have to be able to leverage technology to make sure you're not turning yourself from having 10 bosses to 50 bosses, because every one of your clients is going to have demands.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's for sure. That's very helpful. And I think that's probably like one of the biggest questions is like, well, how do I get these clients and how do I identify who would be a good fit, who's already on my roster? And then it's like, okay, well, now how do I sell premium advisory services?
Yeah.
How is
Well,
someone going to pay me, when they've been paying me 300 a month, now you're telling me to go 1,500, 2,500 a month. That's
yeah.
kind of a shocker for the firm owner too.
So with that transition, like how are you seeing those common mistakes and solutions for the people that are actually going through that transition with how they price, how they sell those services? Like how are you seeing that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a great question. I think, there's so much behind it. But I would say the first thing that you have to do is you have to stop procrastinating and actually get into action. So in order to stop procrastinating, you have to do what you said and identify, well, who am I going to reach out to and who am I going to call? Because until you have that, you're going to just continue doing what you've been doing for a very long time because people don't want change. Human beings actually don't like to make change, right? How many of us say, oh, I got a New Year's resolution, and then you never do it, right?
Yep.
So I think the first mistake that we need to really identify is looking at yourself and saying, okay, which clients am I going to commit to having a conversation with? And then as far as how to price and sell advisory services, one of the most important things is that if they're a current client, you want to prepare at least 1 hour before a sales meeting. So you want to look at their financials, you want to look at their books, you want to look at their accounting. You want to identify that if you were going to work with them at a greater capacity, what other things could you help solve for them and what problems could you help them solve into the future? So right now you might be so Fady, like when an accounting firm is looking at their client roster, they're typically just doing monthly accounting or bookkeeping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're looking at just the general stuff. You're not looking at preventative stuff, future planning, all the things. You're looking at it from like maybe 90 degrees of a pizza pie, right? And then we're looking at, if you're doing advisory, you're looking at a full 360. So one of the ways to think about that is pricing. You have to think about it like doing surgery if you were a doctor. And if you were to perform surgery and you're removing tumors out of somebody, what are you going to charge if it changes their life? If they can have a full, healthy life, if this were removed and that this surgery could solve that problem. So if your advisory services, CFO services, whatever you're going to call it, is that same thing as surgery for your client versus right now, you're just kind of doing the bookkeeping and just doing the stuff to get by, but you're not helping with growth. You're not helping with, minimizing other expenses or all the other technical stuff that you guys do when you're doing advisory services. Then we're not looking at the whole thing. So our price would be lower. So what I like to think of it as is how would you like to get paid if you were the advisory surgeon doing surgery on your patient versus having them just come for general checkups once a month? It's very different.
I love that. Yeah, I absolutely love that. I'll actually add to that analogy because one of the things that changed my entire outsourced CFO firm in general was I would go and talk to a company, a client, and I'm like, hey, I'll be your outsourced CFO. And they're like, awesome. I know I need one, but like, what are you going to actually do?
Yeah, they don't get it. What the hell does that mean? Like, if you told me that, I'm like, I don't understand what that means.
Correct. And so that's like going to a doctor and being like, hey, I know I need my, stomach checked, but you're going to the wrong doctor, or they don't actually tell you what they do. So I actually like that analogy.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest things when you're thinking about the pricing, but then how to sell it. The other biggest mistake that I see is that firm owners send quotes and proposals.
Yeah.
Like you meet with somebody and then they're, I don't even know what you say to them in that hour, but you do whatever you do. And then you give them some price and then they say, oh, great. Can you send over the stuff for me to review? And then you comply with the client's request. So you're not in control of the conversation. And then you send a quote or proposal and then you keep checking your computer wondering, why didn't they sign it? They said they wanted to move forward and review everything. And you're never asking for the sale. You're never getting a full-on commitment. And you're just never going to grow your revenue that way. You're never going to have people, it's like taking a passive approach versus a proactive approach to being able to handle objections, see what questions they have, maybe some concerns, maybe they don't understand, like you just said. I know I need a CFO, but I don't know what that means. Like maybe they're sitting there the whole sales meeting and listening and being like, and pretending that they think you know what they're talking about or they understand you. And then you send them the quote or proposal and you get ghosted and you hear crickets and you wonder, how come you keep meeting with people, but none of them are converting and engaging your firm as the new client or as an upgraded client. So if you're doing monthly accounting or bookkeeping, and you're having these meetings with your current clients, you're wondering why none of them are moving forward. This is probably why.
I was going to say, it's what we talked about at the beginning, right? It's the half in, half out. Like if you're then it's very easy to be like, oh, okay, fine. Just stay on your existing thing. We're not going to completely change it. The path of least resistance, people are afraid of change. And so that's legitimately the evolution.
Well, and I think people are afraid of change, but here's the real thing. Like the clients that I work with, you have to be sick and tired of how much money you're leaving on the table. You have to be sick and tired of how much you're undercharging for your services. And then you'll finally make a change because then you won't have to sacrifice weekends with your family anymore. You won't have to work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You won't have to check anything on the weekends in your inbox. You can pay off all your debt if you have it. You can go on dream vacations. You will be cash flow positive and never have to worry about money or borrowing from a line of credit. And until, Fady, someone feels and wants that and is sick and tired of the way things are going, no one's ever going to change.
For sure. I mean, that's absolutely right. And to be super kind of I think last year, a lot of it was, do I need to move to advisory? Can I stay on the bookkeeping? Can I stay on the transactional? What 2025 has kind of shown to everyone is like, either you literally evolve into advisory or you won't have a firm. And that's really kind of the evolution is happening so fast. Like you have Intuit literally every day. They're on a mission. They have a metric boatload of money that they're investing on completely making bookkeeping just built into the product. Like last year they got a lot of flack when they're, the whole bookkeeper live or whatever. And then they just rolled out the brand new bookkeeping AI. It's like, you're not going to go against Intuit. Intuit will solve the bookkeeping solution. Same with Xero. Xero has Jax, they call it. Everyone has an AI bookkeeping solution. So this year is the year that's like, oh shoot, if we don't evolve, we don't have 5 years to figure it out. I've met with so many firms that think they have 3 to 5 years and they're like, oh, I'll retire by then. It's like, your time frame is like a 1 to 2 year time frame.
Yeah, and I think you become premium. And I think it goes back to, do you still want to be like Spirit Airlines or these like higher volume, low fee, low cost kind of firm? Or do you want to be like flying a private jet, with 8 to top 10, 20, maybe tops clients paying you top dollar so you can enjoy your life and freedom and do all the stuff that you want to do, not care about what Intuit's doing or not care about what the other company said was doing, because I think that's really what's possible for every single person here is that you can make that shift. You can boost your revenue without working more hours. You don't have to negotiate your prices. You don't have to discount your worth and continue to be like a discounted airline. You can actually be a premium jet, or business class kind of seats in your firm. And that's something that would probably be more fun for the work that you're doing and everything else. So I guess, Fady, for you, like, do you have case study of like a firm that actually made this transition? I mean, I know you're a case study, but maybe someone else that actually had an advisory model that worked and they transitioned current clients into advisory. And what happened with their firm? How did their revenue change? How did their personal life change?
Yeah. I mean, for us, it was an absolute kind of a revolution and how people were leveraging Clockwork. So we had a firm that came on, they signed up for Clockwork. I literally want to say like December 31st, and it was a bookkeeping only shop. They had very few advisory clients, and they were like, we need to prioritize advisory. We need AI to do it. And we need to, we don't have a team that does the modeling and all this kind of stuff. We need a software. So she signed up literally December 31st. By the end of January, she had over 400 clients signed up on Clockwork. And her strategy was give them the value. Who cares whether they're paying quote unquote advisory or not? Software can do it for pennies on the dollar in comparison to paying for someone to do and spend the time. And then what she did was she created a demand where she gave the value to the clients, and then the clients were coming to her and be like, where did this come from? What is this? Like, can I get more of this? I have questions about this and this and this. And then she's like, great, these are my 3 advisory tiers. Sign up for, gold, bronze, or silver, whichever one you want. And then I'll have the conversation with you. And so overnight, she seemingly turned her entire bookkeeping, quote unquote, practice into an advisory firm where now all those clients that wanted more, they got more. And then the clients that they didn't know they needed more, they got more, and then they came and asked for more. That was revolutionary.
Wow. Yeah, no, and I think it is. So, when you think about this example, what would you share with a firm owner who's listening right now that wants to have a revolutionary experience just like that and make this transition?
The biggest thing is like, for especially this one, she was all in on the future. She's like, I'm done. Like the mind is made up. We are going all in. You either go all in or you don't.
So you have to put the history in the past and go all in on the future.
Yeah.
And kind of what's here. Like, it is what it is.
100%. You have to commit. You have to commit. There's no firm that's doing kind of a little bit and a little bit that we've seen really, really completely change the trajectory of their clients. And like the clients need it, right? Like I said, every client needs advisory. It's really your job, our job as professionals to be able to deliver what they need, what they're asking for. Michelle, I'm curious. I saw this question from Josh come in while you were talking about the pricing and packaging. So Josh said, we have a handful of accounts between 25 and 10 grand a month. I feel good about selling fractional CFO to those accounts. The bulk of my clients are paying $1,000 to $2,500 for CAS. I have my own opinion on that, but I'll reserve it. How would you package a services or a deliverable that would be appealing to them from a price perspective and not overcommit us to wide open scope advisory? I have an opinion on that, but I'll let you tackle it first, and then. I'm not even
going to tackle it from what you're selling services, Josh. I'm going to tackle it back from what I was talking to you about earlier. It's not about the service or your package name that people buy. People buy a solution to a problem. So if you can identify 5 to 10 problems, 5 to 10, where you're like, wow, okay, this really solves this person's problem. It eliminates the money tumors in their business, the future tumors, whatever. Because and tell me if I'm wrong, Fady, but if you're doing client advisory service and then you're going to go to fractional CFO, client advisory is maybe doing like a 90-degree piece of a pizza, right? Where fractional CFO, you're going to be looking at everything in total. So 100% of a pizza. You're doing a full 360 holistic view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
So if that's the case, it's the same thing as someone who is going for a regular checkup to the doctor every single month versus someone who's like, okay, I want to be good forever. I'm willing to go and do this surgery with the top doctor. Maybe you flew to the special doctor in some other state because it's going to get the end result. So when you think about sales, and this is for everybody, sales is about a problem. So for example, let's say one of you want to come to me because you want to work less and earn more money. Okay. And you want to stop trading your time for dollars. So Josh, you're not doing that, but there's a lot of people here that are charging hourly or charging really low rates. And then they're having scope creep, Josh, like you talked about in your question. So then we say, okay, well, we want to start commanding premium fees without the burnout. Okay, but how do I do that? That's a problem, and that's a problem that I help solve because I help you solve it so you're not getting documents late, you're not having people haggle over price, you're not having people ask you for discounts. You're able to boost your revenue without working more hours, not discounting, not negotiating price, and never discounting your worth. But so many firm owners, Josh, come to me and say, well, how do you do that? Well, I perform surgery. We will have a surgical experience together, per se. So when you think about your fractional CFO services, how are you having a surgical experience with your current client or a new prospect? What does that look like? You have to think about it and write it out. You should have a list of at least 10 to 20 things on how you basically solve problems for people. And that is how you can command a higher value, charge premiums. It's the thing that will set you apart from any other firm owner here. And that's the exact same way that you can gain financial freedom. The freedom each of you deserves, and time freedom, so you can get your time back.
Yeah, I love all that. The one addition that I would have is, the fractional, quote unquote, fractional CFO versus CAS. Very, very few companies in the world actually need quote unquote fractional CFOs. This is a soapbox that I will absolutely.
Yeah, I can't speak to that, so go for it.
I will absolutely get on, maybe for another time. But if you have CAS clients and you're actually doing client advisory services, you have to have a deliverable. Every company needs metrics. Every company needs dashboards. Every company needs a cash flow forecast. I don't care how good or bad, those three things every company needs. If you don't have an out-of-the-box solution to provide those for all your clients, you're not doing CAS. If you're classifying and calling your clients that are paying you $1,000 a month and you're saying that's CAS, that's not CAS. There's not a chance you're doing actual client advisory services, and you're spending maybe 3 to 4 hours for them a month, unless your hourly rate is the hourly rate of a bookkeeping firm. There's not a chance. So standardizing those offerings, standardizing delivery, having a 3-tiered pricing model of silver, bronze, or bronze, silver, gold in whatever nomenclature you want, just having a 3-tiered approach that says the bottom tier is this bucket and that's the range. The middle tier is this bucket, that's the range. Top tier, same exact thing, but very clear deliverables. Like you're getting insights, you're getting an actual update on scenario planning, you're getting industry benchmarking, you're getting certain things, like however you want to deliver to your firm. But if you have a range literally from $1,000 to $10,000 for clients, there's nothing standardized about that entire thing. And then, like, how are you supposed to manage your own workforce? How are you supposed to manage when you can upsell a client? How are you supposed to manage the deliverable of those clients? So there's so many different things that are packed into that question. CAS is absolutely, like, the minimum that I would ever charge anyone for CAS is $2,500 a month, and then it just scales up from there to north of 10 to 15,000 a month. But CAS, outsource CFO, fractional CFO, it's all the same thing. There should be no segregation between the nomenclature of that, but standardizing that offering is how you turn all those $1,000 a month clients. Because I promise you, those clients are guided on what CAS actually is, if they think that they're paying $1,000 for CAS and they're not getting the value, or two, the firm itself is misguided. So one of those two things, but being able to actually provide that value for the clients is what's going to be able to allow them to grow. And, even if a client's not making that $1 million revenue, like, it's your job as the money person to identify how they can. If that's a goal for them, if they want to increase revenue, why are we here, right? We're here to be growth levers, not cost centers for all of our clients.
Yeah. And Josh, I don't know if that answered your question, but it's just important to think about when you guys hear the word value and charging high premiums for the value you provide, just equate value to the problems you solve. The bigger the problem you solve, the more you can charge. Why do you think top surgeons who are saving people's lives are getting paid top dollar? Or if you look at like nurses, an anesthesiologist nurse is a top paid nurse out of any kind because they're keeping people alive all the time.
Michelle, I got to know, what's your tie to the medical field? Where's the analogy?
I don't have a tie to it. It's just
I love it, by the way.
Everyone here should be paid like a top surgeon and a top doctor, and you're not. You solve some of the biggest issues for people from a financial standpoint. If you own a tax firm, from a tax standpoint, or tax planning or resolution cases, like, you get people out of deep messes from their financial poor health or improve it. But you get paid like teachers, nothing against teachers, but it's like, I talk to people who want to make a lot of money every day, and firm owners, like, I started my own firm, but I'm not making a lot of money. And, I get all these people that are haggling over price, and you know what? It's just not fun anymore. I'm not profitable. I just want the life that I want, or maybe I should just go get a corporate job. I started this firm and I feel like I'm just stuck in a job. It's like, well, no top surgeon says any of those things.
Yeah.
That's why I have no tie to it. Maybe back when I was in college, I wanted to be a doctor. I don't know.
I love it. I'm here for it 100%. And I know I have a really good question for you, but I'm going to actually jump into the chat. He said, so Jeremy Lambertson, saw someone, he said, I'd love for you to poke holes. Be careful what you ask for when you ask me to poke holes. But his question was, I bill a monthly retainer based on an hourly estimate, $200 a month for retainer. Overage hours are $350 an hour. If someone wants strict hourly, we bill at $700 an hour. I have a small team, 5 FTEs plus me. The retainer is typically $15 to 50 hours a month. This is scaling well. I'd love for you to poke holes. What should I think about differently? My response is super simple. If you're coming back, and I know this because I did this exact same mistake. When I came up with my retainers, I was like, I'll start doing this work, will probably be 10 hours a month, and I'm going to bill out $200 an hour. So that means my retainer is going to be $2,000 a month, and that's what you're going to be at. But at the end of the day, it's no better than hourly billing because you're still selling your time for the retainer. What I started doing, and what was the great, kind of the groundbreaking thing for my outsource CFO firm, I'm like, how valuable is this for this client? If this client goes and raises $5 million because of the work that we did on their model and their pitch deck, that's worth 10 grand a month. Whether I work 2 hours or I work 20 hours, that's worth 10 grand. So the value-based pricing has nothing to do with the amount of hours that you spend. Because if I go look at a client, if I look at a P&L, because I've been in finance for 20 years, I can look at a P&L, dissect it, and identify all the growth levers, all the red flags, all the yellow flags within probably 10 to 15 minutes. It may take someone who's new to the field, new to the industry, it may take them 10 hours. Why should I charge any less than the person who's going to take 10 hours? So provide the value, because you come with tremendous experience. If you're billing $700 an hour, you obviously have something very valuable to provide. Make sure you're providing, or you're charging for the value, not the time it takes you to provide the value.
Correct. And I'll just say something to that, and then Josh, I'll answer your question about problems to solve. So Jeremy, just to add on to what Fady was saying, I'm sure you guys have seen it all over the internet and Facebook and stuff, but I've had a lot of problems at my house, and I bought like a really expensive fixer-upper, like from the outside, and I'll use the medical term, you guys, because that's just where we're going with it today. My house looked like it had the best facelift and, plastic surgeon on earth. But underneath it, I'm like a cancer patient. My house has like tumors growing inside and out of it.
So very SoCal.
They just did
the very Southern California thing.
You got like high blood pressure. My house has cholesterol. Like it's on the verge of needing, like an ER room, even though from the outside it looks great. So I've had a lot of people come over the house, and to speak to your hourly thing, and I think it was Jeremy, look at the plumbers. I can't remember what they say, but you have a problem, right? And you have a person come over and they're like, okay, well, I'll try to figure it out. And they're charging you by the hour. And you're like, when the hell are you going to figure it out? Like, this is leaking over here. Can we get, come on, let's do it, right? Can't figure it out, charges you for 10 hours. Next guy comes over, plumber, says, I know exactly how to fix this. And just so you know, it's going to be $2,500. And I just paid someone else like whatever, 100 an hour or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, because of what I do for work, I really don't care. I'm like, how fast can you fix this and get the hell out of here? And I don't really care what it's going to charge, what you're going to charge, because this goes into Josh, the next thing. My problem will cost me more than the $2,500 I'm going to pay him to fix this problem, because more water damage equals more problems. Those problems are actually a bigger problem than the plumbing problem. So you pay the person $2,500, they're here 10 minutes, and you're like, wow, okay. It's just, you can't interview for a trade kind of worker's knowledge. You just have to figure it out by, mostly in what I've figured out is referrals, because it's like, well, how good are they? And if they're the most expensive, they're typically really, really good, because they're going to fix shit fast and move on, because they know that they can get ahead of everybody else because they're a specialist. Just like a surgeon, they're a specialist. There's people that only work on, here's the medical thing, Fady. I had a case of vertigo this year, and I haven't had it in years. I couldn't not get out of bed. I was laying in bed, and it felt like my bed, when you're on an airplane and it hits like a pocket of air, and then you kind of whoa, right? I felt like that. I could not walk. I was like, oh my God, what the hell's happening to me? So I crawled to the kitchen, got electrolytes, coconut water. I was just like, I don't know what's happening. Went to the doctor. She goes, oh, you need to go see the dizzy doctor. This has happened now more than once. Let's see if he can find the problem. So he's a neurologist, but only specializes in vertigo. Okay. Go get a MRI, go get a hearing test, go get blood work. They're looking at all these markers that no other general doctor will look at. So it took me one appointment, even though with vertigo, it's weird because it just comes and goes. They can put you in this space chair looking thing and try to fix the crystals in your ears. Then it sometimes just solves itself. In my case, it solved itself. But the way they executed the problem, they went strategically to a few different tests and said, until you get these tests, get them done in the next week, and then we'll figure it out. They don't even waste their time. But how many of you guys waste your time without people getting you specific documents that you need or other stuff that you need? So that is my 2 cents to add to what you said about with Jeremy. But for Josh, when it comes to the problems that you solve, you put cash flow, 20 year-over-year growth, all that. That's actually not a problem. Those are actually things that they'll get if you can solve the problem. So let me explain to you guys what problems are, okay? And this is probably the hardest thing for any firm owner to wrap their head around. And then if you all want, you can go to theabundantcall.com and you can book a free strategy call with me and my team, which I think Erin's going to put in the chat, because then we can talk about your biggest revenue blockers, lay out a roadmap to exactly the problems you solve and how much you should be charging. So I recommend you go and schedule a phone call with me and my team. But the real problem is not what you think it is. It's not cash flow. So the question becomes, well, if I can solve cash flow, what would they be able to do? So I solve cash flow actually for one of my lovely clients. We'll just call her Barb right now. She had to go get a line of credit every single, I think it was January and February every year, just to make payroll because her cash flow sucked. Well, the problem was actually the amount of money she was wasting on interest on the line of credit and the stress of not having enough cash to be able to pay payroll. So it wasn't that I was fixing cash flow. I was actually solving her problem of stress, anxiety, anger. She was very angry in the beginning when I first met her, and how much money she wasted because she had to keep dipping into this line of credit and felt like she could never get herself out of it. That is the problem.
How'd you charge Barb?
Huh?
How'd you charge Barb?
Barb went through my 8-week sales mastery course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you look at,
because I don't charge like you guys do in a firm. It's a little different because I do a coaching program here at the Abundant Accountant, so you can understand and get to the real problems, but like really think about a full sales process for your firm. And it's the exact system that I've helped hundreds of firm owners use to double your revenue if you have AR, never have AR. But
so the problems. Yeah. So the problems, like when Josh is asking, like the 20% year, like when you look at your client base as a whole, like across the board, if there are common themes, absolutely drill into them. If you guys have chosen niching, Josh, I don't know if you're CAS clients. By the way, a huge nitpick, I would never call bookkeeping clients CAS clients. Just, never. But if you guys are niched, then every single one of those companies are probably going through the same stuff. Like if they have issues with AR, AP, accounts receivable, accounts payable, that's a massive, massive thing where, and this is where things like Clockwork, if you have some sort of a software that identifies this stuff for you, that's phenomenal. So it's the thing that's like, okay, you have a collections issue. You have a ton of revenue, but you're not actually collecting the cash on that. Taking your clients and saying, hey, did you guys know that these bills are overdue? Or these these invoices are overdue. This is your aging. Even if you don't use Clockwork, it doesn't matter to me. Go into QBO, go into their QBO account or Xero account, pull an AR aging report, go through that. Very simple stuff like that stuff, delivering that, being top of mind, being front and center for your clients on what matters to them, like revenue, keeping expenses down. Headcount is always a massive thing. Say, literally every single one of the clients, their number one expense is salaries. How are they paying? They always have people that they're struggling on. Oh, should I be paying them? They're so expensive. They're not doing their job. They're not doing this. Or if this person leaves, I'm going to be screwed. How do I hedge this? Like letting your clients have those conversations with you, or even going to your clients and being like, hey, guys, Clockwork integrates with the payroll. If you don't have access to their payroll provider, ask them, like, what are you paying your people? Let's get a full access. Let's get a headcount plan. Let's look at your headcount. Can you forecast out new hires? Do you want to forecast out new hires? So having those kinds of things, every company needs cash. Every company has stuff on the people side. You hit those two things, you're talking the 5 to 10,000 clients all day, every day, because if you save them 50 grand on a bad hire, that you literally just paid for yourself. And then you include all the revenue opportunities for making sure that resources are allocated correctly. Then you're irreplaceable advisor. So there's levels to it as you climb and as you go up with the kind of problems for your clients. But it really just depends on how you want to add that value for your clients and at what stage they're at. That's how I recommend all the firms that we partner with, and that's how I did it for my own firm.
Yeah. And so, Fady, with that, like those firm owners that have imposter syndrome, and, what do they do to move past the compliance work? Like, what kind of skills and knowledge are truly the essential things that they need before they launch these services?
Really, the biggest thing is like start with the pricing and packaging that you think won't work. Like that's literally number one. Is a lot of times I've seen so many firms get spun around the axes simply because they're like, oh, well, I just don't know what to charge, or I'll figure out what to charge them after I have all these conversations. And then I have to put up a website. I have to make my marketing material. I have to pay all these people. I have to hire someone to go find me like, stop doing that. Just stop making excuses. Literally come up with 3 tiers, come up with the pricing. I don't care if it's $200 a month or $10,000 a month. Come up with 3 tiers, have very standardized deliverables on those 3, and go and start selling it. That's the imposter syndrome, is stop making excuses to delay this. It's a very easy thing to be like, oh, well, I'll just do it after I do this, or I'll do it after I do this. And then tax season comes, all of a sudden everyone falls off the face of the earth. It's like, why do you think that happened? Probably because 95% of your books, or 95% of your book of business, are tax clients. They're not advisory or CAS. So you should probably set yourself up next year to not have that much of a pain or that much of a scramble where you're literally dead to the world from January till May while you're trying to do the taxes. That's how I would think. So when you look at Michelle, like, what's your recommendation for structuring the advisory services, doing the pricing, doing all that kind of stuff for those clients?
It comes down to surgery again. We have to identify the problems, and we have to identify how big the surgery is going to be. If you're doing, like you said, you're going in and you're performing surgery on all this, like, what do you call it? The money that's not in their accounts from clients, and you're able to get that money in the bank, and they're actually not being a free bank to their customers. That's a pretty big performance of surgery for that type of client. So I think you have to identify, and it's like there's not a one size probably fits all for what you guys do with advisory. It's just not like that. You'll start to see consistencies and differences depending on maybe how complex or how big the company is. But I think it's really about identifying, we're just going to keep it simple today. What is the real problem? How is your client drowning in work or drowning in whatever they're drowning in? Right? Like some of you, if you do like tax or bookkeeping and you're dealing with like all the deadlines, you're drowning from long nights. You're drowning from endless emails. You're drowning from barely having enough time for your family. You have to think about that for your clients, right? How are they feeling? I know a lot of firm owners that I work with, like Barb, when we first met, she was stressed, angry, exhausted, wondering if this is just how it's going to be. And then she's like, oh, Michelle, and I should really hire someone just to do all my sales because I hate that too. But now she wanted just to like sell most of her business and just go spend time with her husband. Now she's like, I actually like this. I need to find someone to actually do some of the client work. I just want to keep meeting with clients, make the money, and then work part-time. I was like, oh, you don't want to retire anymore and just kind of get rid of the business? No, I like this now. Yeah. So you have to really understand what are the problems, and that's how you're going to package. That's how you're going to price. Because you have to have a system to convert these people into these advisory packages. That's the only way you can maximize revenue. It's the only way you can get rid of the problems you all put in there with charging the retainers. You're not lawyers. Lawyers sometimes don't know what they're getting themselves into, right? So we, as firm owners, and if you're doing this advisory work, you kind of know what to expect. And once you perform enough surgeries, once you do this with enough clients, you're going to start to see repetition. And that's where maybe you can standardize maybe some of the packages.
I'll say there is always a CYA on new clients. They cover your ass on new clients.
Yes.
I would never
talk about it, Fady, like a house.
I would never sign on a client until they sent me all 3 financial statements, gave me access to the credit cards, and gave me access to their bank accounts. Literally, I wouldn't even I would have one strategy meeting with them, have a conversation. And then if they didn't send me all that stuff before I get them an actual, okay, I will charge you this much and you have until literally today to tell me you want to go or you don't want to go. I wouldn't even have that conversation because you can.
I'll take it one step further, Fady. I wouldn't even have a strategy meeting with them until you had it. My boyfriend has had one surgery and maybe has to have another one on his back. His orthopedic surgeon does not even meet with you unless you have an MRI, an X-ray, blood work, something from the cardiologist saying you're cool for surgery. You're done with pain management and you've attempted all the PT. Once you do all that, then you can go see the surgeon. So
Michelle,
why, if we're going to be...
I think you get an honorary MD for how many medical metaphors.
I'm just going to keep going because it makes sense for, I think, a lot of...
Just throw them. I love them.
Yeah. I mean, are you guys resonating with this? Is this helping you understand how you solve problems and
no, this is all great.
Firm differently? That's what you have to do. So I would take it one step further, Fady. You don't even have that strategic first initial meeting until you've reviewed all that stuff. So that's pretty much what I teach in my program too.
No, I love that. I think there's levels to it. The reason I like doing the strategy meeting first is because I identify the pain within the first 5 minutes and then I poke on that pain.
Done it a few times.
Yeah, I poke on that pain for the next 55 minutes. So by the end of the meeting, they're like, please help us, because they're crying because I make them relive the pain over and over and over and over again.
That's exactly how it should be done.
Yeah, by the end of the call, they're like, I suck. Please come and help me. All right. So we have literally 2.5 minutes. Michelle, this has been awesome.
Okay.
This was a very, very quick, quick hour. So I don't know, Aaron, do you want to throw up kind of how people can stay in touch, get in touch? So obviously, you guys know me, Clockwork AI. Go to clockwork.ai and literally create a free account. It'll literally
build. It's a little different. You're like wondering and wanting to know more about problems and doctors and all that stuff we talked about. You can go to theabundantcall.com and schedule a complimentary chat with me and my team. So it's a no obligation strategy session. And basically what we do is we analyze what you're doing in your current practice. We identify your revenue blockers, and then you will leave with a personalized roadmap. So you can increase revenue. You can convert some of your bookkeeping accounting clients into advisory without the need to chase any new clients.
Michelle, how long is the complimentary one-on-one?
It's an hour call. And then should you find our discussion valuable and you want to collaborate further, we can outline what that would look like. But otherwise, there is no obligation. Unless we feel we can help you, we'll let you know. And then there's a short application you have to fill out after you book the call.
Love that. So check out theabundantcall.com, grab that complimentary. Clockwork, obviously, you guys know we have a ton of resources out there for all the advisory. We will literally give you the bronze, silver, gold packages, the services, the offer. Like you literally just email us, we'll give it to you. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much, Michelle, for doing this. This was a lot of fun. Next time we'll do it on maybe in San Diego, sitting on the beach or something.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone. We'll give you guys the rest of the day and then we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.